Welcome all. So my name is Sean Nolan. I'm Director of Local Government and Policing with SIFA. I guess my other claim to fame is I've got about 17 years as a County Treasurer, 4 years as a Police Treasurer, numerous years as a Fire Treasurer, and quite a lot of representative roles representing various Treasurer societies. So that doesn't make me an expert, but I suppose it gives me some skin in the game, as they say. I am delighted to be chairing this, and we're delighted you're able to come. We've assembled for you an incredible cast of speakers, and I'll introduce our speakers in a moment. But before I do, I just wanted to set a bit of context. We're here to celebrate, if that's the right word, 40 years since the Layfield report, was published. And it was published in May 1976. It ran to over 500 pages. Its key conclusion was that the design of local government finance should depend on the view taken about the whole relationship between central and local government. It essentially gave the government of the day a choice between a very centralised controlled system or one with greater local autonomy. The latter would have required significant local tax reform and other reform. We all know what has happened since, we think. Our speakers will take us through the original journey, what has happened after that, and then some reflections from a kind of more practitioner point of view. As I say, fundamentally, for me anyway, fundamentally the report was about that startlingly clear observation about decisions on local government finance depend really on decisions about the relationship between local and central government and what it's intended to do. And this humble traveller of the last number of years in the finance community can't help thinking that that's the one key bit, the bit about the relationship between local and central and what local is meant to do. That's the one key bit that has never really been addressed within or since the report's been published. Let me just introduce the speakers in the following order. So we have George Jones, a member of the Layfield Committee, numerous advisory roles within government and elsewhere, currently Emeritus Professor of Government at the LSE. He will set out that opening context, the history behind that report and since. We'll then be followed by Sir Michael Lyons. Michael led the Lyons Review. He's had numerous major roles in local government and elsewhere. I guess the notable example of the former is being Chief Executive of Birmingham, and the notable example of the latter is being Chairman of the BBC. We will then have, I'm told I can use this line, we'll then have the late Tony Travers, who has given us notice that he will be late, but hopefully on time. So I'll repeat this for when Tony comes, but we all know Tony is a very highly respected academic and commentator on all things local government finance. Currently an advisor to the House of Commons Communities and Local Government Select Committee on fiscal devolution. Ironically, when that same select committee met about 18 months ago to do its first investigation into fiscal devolution, an investigation it was looking into was the proposals from the London Finance Commission for fiscal devolution. I happen to be the financial advisor to the select committee. So it's interesting to see that those roles reversed to an extent. Tony's day job is Director of LSE and a visiting professor at the same establishment. We'll then conclude with Mike Owens. Now, Mike is currently Chief Executive of Berry, last couple of years, but I guess for the purpose of the here and now, his real claim to fame for us in SIFA is he's a past president of SIFA and many years a distinguished Director of Finance with Berry. And I think he'll give a kind of very current practitioner's view of what it feels like, but it's worth saying that I think the kernel of this idea of holding this kind of launch event kind of, I suppose, was born under Mike's presidency, so to speak, so it felt fitting to kind of bring him into the loop. So welcome, and George, could I ask you?